C1x Road to launch, day 14. I think it's day 14. Maybe it's 15. One of the two, probably. We stopped last time. We were getting started on implementing the ability to change a starting hole for a round. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Making this actually do something. We created two variables. I created two variables. So we have current hole, which is what's used throughout our entire file right now. For scoring, it's what displays the hole value at the top. It's what adjusts where we're initializing, changing variable values. To account for starting hole, we added a new variable called actual hole. And the way that I want these to work, we've got some more popcorn today, so have to deal with me eating it again. But let's say previously in the app, you didn't have the ability to change starting hole. Everybody starts on hole 1. For the most part, in real life, that's what happens anyways. So pretty good for all intents and purposes. But sometimes you show up to a course, there's a 3-card backup already on hole 1, and you see hole 4 is wide open and you want to jump ahead. And then you'll play 1 through 3 at the end. I do that. I don't want to not be able to score around in C1x. If it's an all par 3 course, you're not changing distances, then it's not really going to make a difference. But it will a little bit, and it'll make a huge difference if there's par 4s and 5s on the course. So current hole value would just increase by 1 on every single hole. We've added actual hole value here. So if the user doesn't change their starting hole, meaning that they're still starting on hole 1, they're both still going to progress exactly like this. So actual hole is always going to have the same value as current hole. That's how it's going to work. If they change a starting hole, current hole is still going to be the number of holes the user has played. So regardless of what the starting hole is, it's still going to progress like this. But let's say the user decides they're going to start on hole 4, in that example I gave earlier. That's going to look like this. So the tricky part about it, we'll make this a little bit harder, is that I want to at some point be able to give people individual hole statistics for their rounds. So I want them to be able to, as a part of this view, say, all right, let's go to only rounds I played at Creekside. And then once I've limited it to Creekside, I then want to go see, I need to update that round included value. Sorry, I saw an issue. Okay, saw an issue, had to write it down before I forgot. Be able to filter by Creekside and then go see, okay, well, how do I typically shoot hole 2? How do I typically shoot hole 6? Things like that. And regardless of what starting hole you're on, hole 4 on the course is hole 4 on the course. I want to make sure the stats align. So I can't just like shift the whole par array and whole distances array to have the right starting hole at the beginning and move everything else to the end. I will have to do that a little bit, but I need to maintain it in a way that when I'm saving the round at the end of scorekeeping, it is course hole 1 is at the start, course hole 18 or whatever the last hole is at the end. So this is our scorecard file. Thankfully, we have coded this in a way that there's no duplicating of files. That was something I did not do a great job in Throw with the Pros with. But that round scorecard file is the only one where this should actually be affecting. Should actually be affected by changing the starting hole. And then by the time we save a round to go view it on this screen, it's already going to be in the right format. So, sorry. Per the note I had in the last video, we're going to go through this whole file and look for these things. So every single time we use current hole, we initialized a local value here. Just, I feel like sometimes in these classes, extending a change notifier, It's solely due to my lack of understanding of how exactly they work. But I just prefer it to be in a local variable to the whatever widget I'm currently coding in, just because then I know it's always going to be accurate. I can update it with a simple set state like this. It's going to reload the view, which is going to reset that local variable. I feel like the set states don't always update this the way that I want them to. Again, probably just due to my lack of understanding them, but certainly due to my lack of understanding them. But we initialize those variables, and this is the file's 790 pages. I obviously haven't refactored it well enough. I got something in my throat. Probably a piece of popcorn. So I'm going to have to go through the entire file. But there shouldn't be that many of it. I could just do the Command F for the current hole, but I want to make sure there's no instances of where maybe I don't have current hole, but I still need to be using actual hole. So I want to just kind of read through the code as I go through and make sure I'm not missing anything. It's only 800 lines. It's not too long. We're already on 150. Okay. So first instance here, this is still going to be true. This is our check to see if the round is over. And the round's only over if the user has played as many holes as there are on the course. And current hole is our variable to track that. That's always going to increment regardless of what the starting hole is. So that code I don't have to change at all. Watch me fumble around eating up popcorn too. Alright, return hole count. I passed actual hole to it, so I know it's there. We can check that function when I get down to it, because I know that function is in this file. Alright, keep it going here. Nothing on this. I'm going to get started with the undo button, which I think is going to be the hardest part of this whole thing. Undo last shot is in this file, this function. So we will get that fixed. Definitely I'm going to have to pass actual hole to it, right? Maybe I don't. Maybe I can just do it based off shot data. I probably can. But we are going to need to update the value of new actual hole here. Yeah, it's going to throw an error because this function only has 2 return values right now, so we're going to have to update that at the bottom. Don't think we need these yet. We can go do this real quick. Error down here is fine though. All right, so new current hole is less than current hole, meaning the hole changed, or the round is over. We're going to update the round score. That code doesn't need to change at all. We do need to do this here. This is where it's going to get dicey. That's how I'm updating the shot data, because this is how it looks. Just as a reminder. This is how the shot data works. We updated the initializing of it in the last video. Previously, it was just starting as a single bracket, and then when each hole was over, I was adding a new bracket to fill in with the shots for that hole. So now I'm initializing it to have the full length from the beginning. Let me think about this for a sec, actually. Because my thought is that I was going to have to say the user starts on hole 4. So this is hole 1. This is hole, oh, don't do that. This is hole 2. This is hole 3. So my thought was going to be that I would just start filling in this on the first hole. But maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I can just continue to fill this in order. We just keep, shot data based on this set of values and not this one. That might be what I do. It might be the move. Update round score. So right now when I initialize everything from the main menu at the start of the round, it is all based on the starting hole being 1. Like I update the starting hole if I need to, but everything else is in, like hole pars are still, course hole 1 is in the first slot, course hole 2 is in the second slot, so on. I'm trying to think of how much I actually need to change for that. So this should still be fine. If I leave the hole pars where they're supposed to go, meaning that regardless of starting hole, I keep hole par for course hole 1 and the first slot. I do the same thing with shot data. New current hole is based off of current hole, which is the one that's not changing regardless. So this should still all work. I feel like there's something I'm missing as to why it's not going to be this simple. We'll see. It makes the undo simple, because then I can just continue to remove shots in this order, as opposed to like if I start filling on hole 4, then if they get to 18, or let's say they get play through 18, they're on 1. When I undo 1, we remove these, then we'd have to go all the way back to the end of the array at 18, moving their way back to 4, which is the hole they started on. That logic gets definitely doable, but more convoluted than it is currently. So I'm trying to think, like, let's start around real quick just so I can look at this in terms of what is actually important. Hole 1 of 18, we updated. I updated the display of that. We need the par to show the right par. We need the undo button to work, but I think if I'm not changing shot data, it should be fine. I don't think I need any of this. So maybe undo can stay exactly as it is. In order for that to happen, I need to find a way to not change the order of the hole pars, hole distances, or shot data. But that is probably doable. Okay, let's keep rolling. This one will matter. So this is related to the display and usage of the actual, Hold on, I think I'm thinking about this all wrong. Maybe I'm not. Because let's say I'm not changing the hole pars. That's not going to work. I think I am way oversimplifying this. Because my thought was, okay, if they start on hole 4 instead of starting to fill in here, I just start here anyways. But if I'm going to do that, then the hole pars do need to change because that par may not match. Bummer. I think that is what I have to do here. I do need to update it. It'd be nice if I can just do it with the hole pars though, and leave shot data in its current order and only change it at the end. I think that might be doable. That would let me leave these as is. Okay, let's keep going. So here, hole distances, hole pars, those need to be updated. Actual hole -1, unit of measurement. It's fine. The par needs to be based on the actual hole. Score is fine. This is fine because we're going to leave shot data in the same order, so it can still be based on current hole. This is going to need to change. Instead of doing this on the actual hole, I might be able to just do this based on whatever the starting hole is. Do that. I think that'll work better. And then here we're going to need to pass the starting hole. And around finished, we added actual hole 2 already. That function. Add stat totals. I don't think I need. This should be fine, because as long as I'm just passing hole pars and shot data, they should be. No, they're not going to be in the right order. Dang. Maybe we can have do something like a final reorder shot data is equal to shot data, and then we're going to pass shot data, and we're going to pass starting hole. And then I can just call that function down below. And then this can be what I pass here. I'm going to need to do it up there as well. Yeah. Needs to get passed here. And then this needs to go up here. Oh, because I just added it. I see. Okay. So we'll create this function to put the shot data in the right order. That way when we pass it here, and that'll be making it so course hole 1 is the first array in the shot data set, and then it'll match the hole pars as well, because we're not going to reorder this. All right. So same thing here, if we're not changing shot data, this should be okay. This should be okay, and this should be okay. We can continue avoiding having to change shot data, that variable, then there's a lot less code changes needed. Why do I need current hole on that? me go look at that is holdover. Oh, because I'm returning it. I see. So I need a temp actual hole. We're going to add that here. And that'll get updated later. Round is over. Should be all we need. Yep. Updating the round score is going to need the starting hole because it'll affect which hole par is used. You already had actual hole as part of the save scorecard function. Okay. Yeah, the less I have to change shot data, the better. This one we're going to have to do that same update. Add it here. That's fine. Round is over. Yep. Update round score. Well, I know I said I was going to do this with starting hole, not. Oh, I did. I did it right. I'm going to have to go double check that, actually. Starting hole. I want to make sure that's what I'm using. That's a code I can delete because I'm initializing the full length already. Okay. So I think those are good. Throwing from I don't need. This does need to be actual hole. I actually need pars on this now too. I do. Because I need to be able to see how many holes are on the course. That way I can do a if actual hole is greater than or equal to hole pars dot length. Return bool int. Return true, current hole plus 1, 1. Else return this plus 1, actual hole plus 1. So if the actual hole is greater than or equal to 18 on an 18-hole course, it should never be greater than, but it doesn't hurt to have a greater than in there. If it's ever equal to 18, then the next hole is going to be 1 for actual hole. If they start on hole 18, for example, the next hole needs to be 1 for that variable. If it's less than 18, then we can add 1 to it. Okay, so that's updated. Don't think I need that. Don't think I need that. Round score I do. Int starting hole. Let's make sure that's actually what I used here. Starting hole. Starting hole. Starting hole. And perfect. Okay, so everything is starting hole. So I had wanted to build a new function for reordering the shot data. I might just do that now, because I'm going to need it for that function. Okay. Trying to think what the best way is to do this. We'll go less filled. Length can be 36. Okay. So we're going to fill it each with that. All right, and so what I was thinking, so let's say they start on hole 4. What I would need to do then is take the very last 3 holes in shot data and move it to the front. So it'd end on 3. Okay. var hold to change equals 0, hold to change is less than starting hole, hold to change plus plus. Okay, and then what we would do here is we'd go temp holder 0, temp holder hold to change is equal to original shot data dot last. And then we're going to remove last. So we're going to do that. So let's say if the user starts on hole 4, the last whole numbers are going to go like that. So here I would be setting the first one of temp holder to the shot data for hole 3, and then removing it, and then setting the next one to hole 2 and removing it. I can actually do it all in once here. That doesn't even need to be a list. Huh, okay. This can just be this. And then what we can do, this is just called temp holder. And then here we go, yeah, insert it at 0. So I'd take hole 3, we'd move it to the front. And then I'd take hole 2 and then move it to the front, and then I'd take hole 1 and move it to the front. I think this should be starting hole -1 though, because if the starting hole's 4, we would only want this to run through 3 times. So hold to change less than 3, starting at 0 would be 0, 1, 2. 3 times, yeah. And then down here we would return shot data. You can just call it this. Okay, so that's our function there. Now if we go back to, where was I at, round score? So here I can go shot data is equal to reorder shot data, and starting hole. So now I have it in the right order, and then we can update the round score. Current hole is all we need there. I think that works. This is one of those ones that I just anticipate running into issues when I actually try to test this, but we'll see. Is round over? What do I call that at? Current hole. Cool. Okay. So that's fine. Shouldn't need to change this. I do think I need to reorder it here though. That's the right way to do this. I'm already getting the right hole, I think. Actually, I don't think I need to change this at all. Because current hole will be correct. Hole completed options, last hole shot data. I think that's fine. This one. This one we do need. It starting hole. Let me make sure that's actually what I call it. Return user hole. Starting hole. Yeah. Okay. Do I really only call it once up here? User hole scores. Here. What about down here? Oh, I see. If this current hole over, I do this temp hole. Okay, so I need a var initial temp actual hole. Yeah. Okay. Why am I not updating the user hole scores here? It's working, so. Oh, because I'm only doing it once on the button press now. This is the button press. I see. That's correct. Okay. So starting hole. I don't even know if I need. No, I do need starting hole. All right, because then we can go, yeah. We can do this. And then I can use this here. So we just reorder it. Whole part is already in the right order. So that should be easy enough. Undo last shot, I don't think we need to change. I think this should stay exactly how it is. Return type of and did I ask for current hole is equal to, let's go up here. New current hole, new actual hole. Okay. I think I need to pass it as an argument then. Into actual hole. Just because I can't do it this simply based off of length. Actual hole minus minus. If actual hole is less than 1. Actual hole is equal to shot data dot length. Yeah. And then we can return actual hole down here. Because I'm initializing shot data at the start, so its length should be equal to the length of the whole par array, which is just the number of holes on the course. Okay, so I think this should be good. Handle round finished. I think we're already covered there. Reorder shot data we changed. So let's go back up here. Let's find these errors. This one I needed actual hole. So we'll update that. Okay. One of these has an error. Reordered shot data. Why did that get passed? This is just shot data, right? Yeah. Did I accidentally change that? Let's let's test. Let's make sure my version history actually opens up today. Seeing that random thing get changed unexpectedly. Okay, got it. Still there. All right, let's keep going. Looks like we got two more. This one, not there, right here. This hole over. Whole pars. I passed whole pars to it. Is hole over. Actual hole. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so I did need that here. This can be round information dot whole parse. All right, and then one more error right here. Same thing. Is whole over. Yep. So now it's time for a test run. Let's see what can go wrong. I'm gonna guess everything's gonna go wrong, and we're gonna be adding a lot of print statements. First, I'm logging, trying to go through a whole file and make changes like that. Without checking is definitely not foolproof, but I think it's the fastest way is just to do everything that I think I need to, do a test run, address issues as they come up. All right, so let's just confirm first off that not setting a different starting hole works as intended. Hole 2. Let's go back. Let's delete it. And then give me a course that has some different pars just to make sure. So the 4, that looks good. 3, yep. 3, yep. Okay, 4, 5, 6. Make sure this is all working as intended. 18, finish round, perfect. All right, so now let's go and select a new starting hole. So just to test it right off the gate, let's start with hole 17. Par 4 is good. Ooh, so I want that whole thing to be in parentheses. That's good. It's just a minor display issue down here. Yeah, so this parenthesis needs to go here. Like that. There we go. Hole 17, 1 of 18. Okay. Let's throw in 18, 2 of 18. Hole 1, okay. I mean, it seems like it's working. We'll finish on hole 16, throw in, finish round, perfect. Let's finish it. Now we get an error. Okay. You know what? Honestly, we made it pretty far. Stack calculation is not working though. Okay. I should have scored it differently anyways just to check, but we can see here. Individual stat calculations, fairway hit. That was where I ran into errors, which is coming from single round calculations. On scorecard 399, which is coming from the add stat totals. Okay, so I pass hole pars. I do pass reordered shot data there. So this is interesting. Let's go print original shot data. Let's go print pars. And then here, let's go print, reordered shot data. All right, so give me that. Is it not going to let me delete that round now? It's not. Dang it. I made a mistake. All right, we can't click on that round. I bet the all stats view is going to break now too. I didn't really think that through. Yeah, it is. Because that round isn't working. Okay. All right, that's fine. We're going to have to do a little reset here. Delete all the rounds. So this should kick us back to example round. I'll go comment these out. All right, telling me to resume around. Here we can delete this. Why is that saying resume round? Oh, it's saying resume round because I just deleted it. That's fine. Okay. So let's try that again. We're going to start on 17. I'm going to take a 2 on 17 and then a 2 on 1. All right, and if I hit finish round, so we get original shot data. Okay. So what is going on with this? Throw in. What? Something is all kinds of messed up here. What happens when I tap a button to actually log a shot? Suppose that's question number 1. Not here. Par here, unpressed. All right. No, that's if round is over. Else, shot data, current hole -1. Print we'll call it hole shot data. Huh. I don't know what's going on there. Resume round, delete it. Something funky's going on there. Let's go. We're just going to have to do this a few times, I think, until we get this working. Okay, let's go to the fort. Same thing, 17. All right, show me. Throw in. Okay, so what just happened there? This is my issue. It has to be No, I'm not the right file. I've got to be using my copy function here. I think that's what my issue is. Deep copy 2D string. Is that what? That's a 2D string, right? List string. List string. Yeah, deep copy. Okay, so reordered. Reordered shot data. Reorder. Reorder. So it's got to be within that function that I'm not creating a copy as I should be. Scores, that's stat totals. Shot data. Huh. I should never be changing shot data though, so it's got to be a copy issue. It just has to be. Because I'm printing it here. It's clearly getting screwed up at this point. Add throwing options. It's gotta be. Okay. But I'm never actually setting it. It is always just with that function. Reordered. All-time stats. That's only if the round is over, so that's not happening yet. Update round score. Is never returning the shot data. Return user whole scores array. Is also never returning it. I'm quite confused. So I guess it's got to be part of this update round score, but I am never. So I print it right here. It works there. It works here. Based on current hole. I print the shot data. The output works on hole 1. Hole 2, it's broken. It added hole 2 to the right spot, but somehow hole 1 ends up way back here. That only happens when I undo. I never changed that variable. And I never assign anything else to that variable. right? I do not. I'm a bit confused at the moment. Won't lie. So this is the code that's running after every button is tapped for a shot. Print current hole -1. Oh no, I know that's working because it's working here. Current hole -1 for this should be the second spot. So it's adding it in the right spot. But what is causing one to move? That's really the question. Shot data 1. Let's copy this. And then surely if I throw this down here, full shot data 2, I'm going to notice an error. I'm going to notice that it's changed. That hole 1 is getting moved, I guess is what I'm saying. Start round, fort, 17, confirm. All right. Yeah, okay, see. So at hole 1, it's here. At hole 2, at the end of that hole, it has been shifted around. So somewhere in between those, it's happening. And it could be happening in there. Stuff is getting all kinds of jumbled. This is ridiculous. So I guess let's do a reset one more time, just because if I can verify that it's happening the exact same way only when I hit throw in, then I can at least narrow it down to this else block. Because the if block above it is only running for the additional options if you're putting or throwing from a penalty area, where it has that additional pop over that says where's your new lie at, what distance are you putting from. So if I can confirm that it's happening even when that's not showing, then it's all in that if block. At least help me narrow it down a little bit here. It is. It 100% is. Okay. So we know somewhere right in here it is happening. Let's go. It's got to be in one of these functions because I'm never actually explicitly setting it here. My guess is that it's in the update round score, but we'll test this first because I already clicked it. All right, fort 17, throw in. Yep, so it's fine there. Let's go. I mean, I should probably do it. I'll test this one too. I don't think I need to, but just in case. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the culprit. Start round. Fort 17. Yeah. Okay. They're in the same spot, so I know it's not that. Let's go here. Delete round, confirm, start round. 17, throw in. There we go. All right, so in this function is where it's happening. I pass round information shot data to update round score. The only variable I'm changing there is the current score. So update round score where I call reordered shot data. Do I never actually use it? What was I thinking here? So I think just by passing it in. Let's go var new shot data. We'll call it reordered shot data equals deep copy 2D string shot data. So this is a function I have to create a copy. Sometimes by assigning or passing through a variable, it'll end up changing the variable itself, which is not the goal. So that right there might be enough of a fix. Just creating a deep copy within that function. We'll find out. Delete, confirm, start. All right. 17. All right, throw in. Yeah, now it's working. Let's throw a 2 on hole 2. And then we're going to do a bunch of throw-ins. Let's finish the round. I go to look at it. All right, so the score is not on the right hole. Importantly. But it is. It's close otherwise. Let's go and delete it. Scorecard 150 should never be showing anyways. Turn stateful, yeah. 371. Silly. All right. Let's reset. Okay, so before we do that, let's add some. I think we got this working now. Return user whole scores array. Is going to be our issue. This is now returning a copied shot data, so it shouldn't be changing it anymore. That's what I'm passing. So it's already in the right order. So I shouldn't need starting hole. I think that was my issue. I don't think the return user whole scores array. I'm already reordering. Yeah. Already reordering it at that point, so. Okay, that might be it. We might have that working functionality in the app now, which would be cool. Start on 16. All right, so we're going to throw in. Let's take a 3 on hole 18. So we took a 3 on 18. Let's throw in. And then a 2 on hole 6. So 3 on 18, 2 on 6. Perfect. I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. Okay, so I think we can stop doing this now. Let me delete this, make sure we get back to the example round. Perfect. Okay. So now it changes for the round scorecard view, everything gets updated properly, and then when it's time to actually save the round and show it on the round display view, it shows in the right order. I think it does. I think it does. Let's go do a double check one more time. We'll go easy 4 here. Let's start on 6. We'll start on the last hole. All right, so we're going to take it 2 on hole 6, and then we're just going to throw in on these, finish round, 2 on hole 6. Let's do a quick refresh, make sure the saving is working. Two on hole 6, yeah. Okay. So I think that is done. A starting hole other than hole 1 can now be selected. Select a different starting hole. What am I trying to say here? That's a good way to say it. Can now select a different starting hole on the round setup. Or we'll just say when starting a round. A round. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Check. Nice. All right, rounds included on all stats views, not changing. This is the issue I noticed earlier. So if I filter out a course, for example, it won't affect anything here. Let's go score 1 at roots real quick. Or test, it doesn't matter. 19 holes. Finish round. Okay, we're here. So we got rounds included 2, because I've got 2 rounds, obviously. If I filter out, let's say test, the stats I'll update properly, but just this rounds included still says 2. So what we will instead do, go to all stats. All possible round counts. Round courses, round IDs. Time frame. Stats folder. Filtered round IDs. All right, what does that get me here? It just returns the round IDs that I'm going to use, right? Filter dialog, is that what I'm calling it? Yeah, filter round IDs. Indices map. So it should just be the length of that. Filtered round IDs. Where do I initialize that variable at? I don't initialize it until right here. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's go selected time frame. Var number of rounds included is equal to 1. And down here on initialization, we're going to go where do I display that? How am I doing it right now? Round ID's length. should be perfect. Okay. So then here we're going to go number. Actually, I need this in a set state. Set state. And then we go number of rounds included is equal to round IDs dot length. Okay, and then when we filter, we just need to do an update as well now. So this can be number of rounds included, and then this one is just our filter round IDs dot length. Yeah, and that should be it. Let's do a reset there. Check if we're working or not. All right, so we got our 2 rounds. We go to all stats. We've got 2 rounds included. Let's say we filter out test. Dang, it still says 2 rounds. Print filtered round IDs. Tell me what that is. It's just one. Set state. Oh, I never actually set this down here. It's working exactly as intended. Yeah. Two rounds, 1 round. Okay, so I think we're good there now. It's good. Fixed. Bug fixes on all stats view. Singular bug fix right now. And then maybe. So that was a big one. Starting whole one's a big one. I think that's a really important function for the app to have. Because previously, if you did decide you wanted to start a round on a hole other than one, and it wasn't just a basic par 3 course, you couldn't really use the app. So that's been fixed. Respond to something real quick here. So I'm thinking now of just diving into going through the full app. Creating a list of all the things that I still want to change. Or at least starting that list. The distance thing is going to be an issue. This is actually, I'm just going to drag it right there. Because it's an appearance thing. If distances aren't set, it just looks funky here. Need an alternate way to show distances if they are defaulted to 300 on the round display view and scorecard. Okay, so what I mean by that is right now if I create a course and I don't actually set any of the distances, so I'll call it 300, we confirm it. If we go look at that course, every length is going to be 300. That's just what, not because I named it 300, that was probably misleading. But just because if a user doesn't set distances in the app, I just default it to 300 feet right now. 300 feet or X number of meters, whatever. Maybe it's 300 meters actually. I don't know if I account for that. That doesn't matter. So there's just a default value that I assign. And if the user didn't add distances, I don't necessarily want to display them. So right now, if you go scroll around or go to the round display view, it would just show 300 just like this. Now here, obviously, if I change it to meters, it's going to update, but it shows the same value all the way across. It's not really useful. And so I don't know if maybe I just make it a dash if that's the case. Like if every hole distance is the exact same and they're all 300 feet. Pretty easy check. Probably a safe bet that it's a default and the user didn't find the round that can't imagine exists anywhere where every hole is actually the exact same distance at 300 feet. So that's a change I want to make. I'm going to pull this over here, pull my list over here, just so I can kind of click through stuff without losing screens. I think all the buttons have a little too much space on the bottom here. So I want to shift that slightly, I think. All buttons have a little too much space on the bottom. So I want to fix that. There's so many things. Like this is obviously not perfect. I do feel like the button color scheme should probably change a little bit. Maybe the background should change a little bit. I just don't know to what. The rounds need to change. They should probably be buttons as well. Create a new unique button design solely for rounds on the main menu and implement. Maybe they could have a white background. White or lighter background. Just to kind of stand out a little bit. I'd have to test it on a smaller phone. I was going to say, because I'm only showing, I think, the last 3 rounds on the main menu. And obviously there's going to be a ton of empty space down here. So maybe I could add more information, but I don't know if that's true on a smaller phone. I guess I have it on my phone, which is a smaller phone. So we can test it real quick. See how it looks right now, if I think I'm going to have room. I'm going to have a little bit of room. I have room to show one additional line of info for rounds on the main menu. Determine what this could be. And implement. Man, color schemes. I like the red and orange. Like if I get rid of these buttons, I don't dislike the way the page looks. I kind of like the gradient. So maybe it is just the button colors that I want to change. They could just be black. Like I could just get away from buttons having color. And these could all be black buttons with a white foreground. And then these could be white buttons with a black foreground being text. Could all non-round buttons be black with white text? I need the 3D dimension though. So the background needs to be black. So I don't want the foreground to be black. Like pressing down, the background of the button and the black shadow around it need to be different colors. That's the only thing that really gives it the 3D effect. So instead of black, be like a really dark red or orange. Does that just look stupid? I feel like the white foreground is gonna look stupid. I could just do like gray buttons, white buttons. I don't envision that looking very good. We're just going to say change color scheme for all non-round buttons, maybe darker with maybe darker with white text, or gray. Just this burnt orange. Outside of just irking me as someone who went to OU, I don't think it looks bad, but it just doesn't quite fit. The page is not fitting right now in terms of appearance. So we got to change the color scheme of it somehow. That does have to happen. So we're going to customize these buttons. We're going to eliminate some spacing. On the settings view, this toggle definitely needs to change. Change unit of measurement toggle on settings view to be more similar to the distance toggle on the add course view. Those buttons will all get a lift. I'm not overly concerned about changing the settings layout right now. It's fairly straightforward. I would like for the text to be clearer, or bigger, excuse me. Increase length and text size slightly for longer secondary buttons used in settings view. Just because I want the text on these to be bigger. It's probably the only change I'm going to make there. All stats view has so many changes that I'm going to want to make to it. I want that to be a really focal point of the app, and obviously it doesn't look good right now. So I might come back to that one. Courses. I'm just not noticing that this is pushed. Global course button on add course menu is pushed to the right, center that row. And obviously some of these things are the things I could go take care of fairly quickly, but I'd rather get them all on a list right now and then text field on add course view needs to have a black border like the rest of the view. All right, global course, text field on global courses needs to have a black border. Create a new button design for all courses. Solely for tapping on courses, global, and my courses. Okay. Then we're going to go implement new button design on the global course list. Implement new button design on the my courses list. So just there, and then this list as well. giving them their own button. Button design. Can I add a scroll bar? Add a scroll bar to global course list. I think I'm going to need it on the my courses too. Add a scroll bar to my courses list. All right, back to global courses, tapping on it. Can the global course, can that pop over scroll already? Make sure I'm not about to implement something that's going to break a view. Global courses, when it's tapped, dialog, scrollable true. Okay. So, implement normal secondary buttons into global courses dialog. Update fonts and spacing on courses dialog to look better. Needs to just look better. Okay, adding to list just kicks us back, so that doesn't matter. And then same thing on here. Implement normal secondary button into my courses dialog. Just updating the button designs down here. And then I'll do the same thing, update fonts and spacing on my courses dialog to look better. Moving stuff around, making that look cleaner. I could give it a different background too. Create a style presets for background colors on alert dialogs. Implement new style preset for my courses dialog. Implement new style preset for global courses dialog. Create a style preset just for round setup dialog, and then implement new style preset for round setup dialog. What else do I want to change about that? Make course text on round setup larger. Implement secondary button design to round setup dialog. Okay. All rounds, we're gonna do the same thing here. Text field on all rounds. View should have a black border. Implement button design for rounds on main menu. We'll say copy button designs for rounds on main menu, and implement into the all rounds view to make these look better. Add a scroll bar to the all rounds view. Scorecard is going to be a big one. So I think I'm going to leave a lot of this as is, but these buttons. So we need to create a new button design solely for logging shots on the round scorecard view. Implement new button design into the round scorecard view. If I tap one, implement new dialog background to the round scorecard dialog. create a smaller button design mimicking new round scorecard buttons for use on the round. No, this one can just be a add a argument to round scorecard button design to determine if it needs to be smaller for use on the round scorecard dialog. Implement smaller round scorecard buttons on the dialog for this view. Okay. Implement new dialog background for the undo dialog on round scorecard view. And then implement smaller, or we'll just go secondary button designs into the undo dialog on the round scorecard view. All right, so that should be everything to cover these. So the scorecard is done. I think the only two views I haven't covered are the all stats and the round display, which are the two most important views in the app, in my opinion. I mean, the main thing here, I'm going to update these designs for the buttons. The title I don't think is going to change. So the big thing for me is just how I'm displaying these stats. That's a big one. These are both going to take a lot more work. I don't need view there. Whoa. Whoa. All stats. Nope, not adding a task. Round display. So I think on the all stats, first step, we're going to give ChatGPT a list of the stats I'm displaying on this view and let it generate ideas for creative displays for them without taking up an absurd amount of space, not taking up like a page for each stat. And then I really just need to create them in this. Create each final idea for stat displays as a task here, and implementing into the view. And the nice thing is that I'm already calculating the numbers, so they're not going to change. It's going to be 24 out of 25. It's just the display of it. So I think I already have the hard part done. It's just putting those graphics together. And I have found that ChatGPT is so helpful for at least like taking that first step in brainstorming. Fantastic. I should get rid of this. Take all stat descriptions, currently individual buttons, and combine them into a single dialog, which could be accessed top of the page or right next to all stats. Then remove the individual buttons. Probably how I should have done it originally, but I'm just going to get rid of all these little descriptions here and move them all into their own dialog up here, just so there's only one button and these don't look bad. Fine right now, but especially as I add some graphics for how these are going to be displayed. It's going to be important. Versus pros, I think I'm still going to leave as is right now. That's not going to come just yet. It's on my to add later. Definitely a feature that I want to put in, but not at least going to make the list for initial appearances, just because the content isn't actually there. So we'll call that on the all stats view for the time being. Round display view. I think for the most part, especially if distances are in, the top half of the page looks decent right now. Like this. I don't think this is terrible. I could consider like taking whole pars and distances out of this and just keeping them down here and giving myself more room for stat displays down below. It's a possibility. Something to consider for the future. I think right now it's really probably going to be implementing some changes on this page. Let's say all stats happens first. Here we go. Each needs to be refactored for use on the round display view as well. So we're going to take care of it on the all stats view, and then on the round display view, create tasks here to implement each new graphic as used on the all stats view. Because these lists match between the round display view and the all stats view. Then I'm going to think of just a better way to display this stuff, right? Here I might just give ChatGPT a list of what I'm trying to display on the whole breakdowns on this view, and let it brainstorm ideas for some more aesthetic ways to convey this information, along with anything else useful that could be added. Create these ideas as tasks below for implementing. Might just call that there, and I think those are going to be the two I get to last, which is probably not a good idea because I did say they were the most important. But they were definitely the hardest, so that probably will get to them last. I think I might call it there. We got the starting hole in. We got that bug fix with the filters. And we've got a whole list together of a whole bunch of design changes to make in the app. I have lots of ideas for how to continue to start and continue marketing C1x, and I would really like to get it looking a little more cleaned up before I just go full send into that. I think first impressions are going to be a really big deal. And although I think the app is pretty cool right now, I do enjoy using it. I also think it's got a long ways to go, and it's probably not going to give a lot of people the best first impression. But I want to get it to that point, and once we get it to that point, it's a cleaned up scorekeeping app that does a lot of the same stuff that existing apps do. I think it does a little bit more, but not a ton. But once we get it to that state, that's when I can start to add the stuff that really differentiates the app. And those are the things that I want to get at least a few of them in before the launch. So I'm going to get the app cleaned up to where I can start feeling good about marketing it, sharing actual visuals with an audience. And then we'll start adding in those differentiators, and then I can market the addition of those differentiators leading up to launch. But we'll call it there. We've got our list here of the 39 things now to update. Priority tasks. This font thing is still I'm going to add it to the very bottom of this list. No, that's not the very bottom. That's the very bottom. Nope. That's the very bottom, right? Yeah, 40 now. All right, so I'm going to check that off. So we'll get through with those. I created some designs for some C1x swag that I might be trying to give out. I'm not quite sure how exactly I'm going to go about doing that yet, but what am I getting an error on? I don't know. I was looking at some websites for doing websites that I think companies typically use to like distribute company branded gear to employees. And I would love to eventually, once the app is in a little bit more of a finished state, get some pros, some disc golfers on social media on board, and maybe distribute some packages out to them. Ideally in exchange for just helping to market the launch of the app. Wouldn't be anything overly fancy, but we'll see. We got a few ideas, so yeah, let's call it there. Probably continue doing some of this marketing stuff off screen. I'll chat about it in the videos. It's stuff that is just hard for me to sit down and do it a bunch at a time, just because I lose motivation so fast with the marketing stuff. So it's easier for me to do it off video at 15-minute increments and just talk about it after. But next video we will be jumping in. Next thing on the list is that list of appearance, aesthetic improvements that I just created. So we'll be jumping right into that next time. I think that's all I got. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.